welcome back. Encountering the Unknown. This is episode 6. We're going to call this one Deeper Connections. I'm Dr. Paul Avedanian again, and my wonderful son, Paul Avedanian Jr.
That's me.
So, we just finished up Daniel's story last time, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. This next episode is going to be sort of a mishmash. We're going to talk about some connections that Paul made at the bridge, the Sachs Bridge in Gettysburg. So, why don't you take us to that time?
Okay, yeah, so leaving off right where the story ended from the last episode, we mentioned like 2 names, I think, or maybe we just said Bill. But after obtaining my ability or gift to see, and then like I met Daniel and everything, not too late after that, we were there again, and then I met 2 more spirits there, Bill Hansen of the Army of Northern Virginia, and then Chris, also from the Army of Northern Virginia. He didn't tell us his last name, but yeah, no, we still don't know what his last name was.
But he said they were best friends.
Yeah, the 2 of them were best friends. And I remember, like, he told me why they were there at the bridge, because I was concerned. I was like, what keeps you here kind of in this area? And he was like, this was the moment where there was a lot of confusion, and this is where we died, but we didn't really know it at the time. So he said, like, it must have been, like, July 4th, probably, because then later he told me that he knew Daniel and everything, and he told me that it must have been hours after that whole incident had taken place, because then the Southerners were still retreating from Gettysburg, going down south.
Going across the bridge there.
And so Bill and Chris had been running through the woods, and then they got to this place, and like there were a bunch of Union guys hot on their tails, and Bill was like hearing the guys coming, and he looked over at his best friend who had just got shot, Chris, and he was watching him die. But then as he turned around, that's when another guy was right there, and
shot
that's where it ended.
Chest or something.
Yeah,
I remember you saying that.
So that's why they were really there and everything. But, his story, he had more to tell, like, about how they got him into, like, the army and everything, and how they threatened him, really. Like, people would come, like, threatening his family or threatening to take stuff if he didn't join. Yeah. And they were like,
the Confederate Army. Army of Northern Virginia. I remember you saying that. And they told him if you become a captain, you join up voluntarily, you'll get a better, food ration, and you'll get a better tent. I believe. So it was Captain Bill Hansen.
Yeah.
And like you said, we didn't know Chris's last name. And we're going to talk soon about our yard, too, and the connections there. And actually, Bill has given us a lot of information, which we'll talk as we go further in the episodes. So we're trying to keep it on a timeline of what happened and try and piece it all together by, down the road as we learn things. This is live, basically, as we were seeing it. You were seeing it. We were getting pictures, going to that bridge. Going to Gettysburg, like we said a lot in 2017 and late 17, even in the winter, you and I were there, on blustery nights. I remember very windy snow flurries in November, December, and we were there. We were the only people on Earth there, but that was pretty cool and amazing. We got some amazing pictures.
Yeah.
And I think so. Well, at this point on the video, we'll put the pictures that we believe is Bill. Yeah. You'll see him, and I have a few live shots, but I'll screenshot those too, and so that'll be cool.
Get those in there for you guys. So yeah, then after that, also about the Tennessee thing at the
Yes, yes,
bridge.
yeah. We wanted to. Well, which was amazing because I remember you telling me this then, as it was live to you, that a lot of the the ghost tours and stuff that go through the bridge, obviously at night, they talk about a spirit called Tennessee, and a lot of people, probably thousands that have gone there, have seen the cigarette move, on the wall or on top of the railing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone says, "Oh, it's Tennessee," I guess. But what did they tell you? Actually, Bill, I think, gave you information.
Well, they were like, first they were kind of like laughing, but then they were like, it's kind of like mocking us a little bit because no one, at least that he had talked to, had been from Tennessee.
Right there at the bridge.
At right, yeah, and they were probably fleeing through there,
some
but
were running through.
he said the active ones
yeah,
there.
I guess, and this is where we're just telling our stories. Again, there's other people out there with abilities and stuff. Maybe they have similar, experiences and references about this. So, you could leave us a comment too if you know, further information. But so that's what they said. No, they weren't from the Army of Tennessee or the Tennessee Volunteers, but they said they were from Army of Northern Virginia. So, maybe maybe this will help as more people go and try and do this cigarette trick, because I know several people that I'm friends with have done it, and it's actually amazing to them when they see a cigarette spin on its own. But maybe if you, again, with respect, just say, hey, what we heard is it Tennessee or Army of Northern Virginia soldiers, whoever they might be, but just pay homage and respect to them, and you might see that trick, and it's pretty special. So
yeah, definitely going through that. So then, like, moving on, in fall of 2017, we started doing some other stuff, not just at Gettysburg. We started to get curious, and we were like, oh, okay, let's...
And plus, we had been to the beach, which we told...
we showed you guys the pictures and everything.
So we saw stuff. We were getting faces. We were getting the orbs with faces. So then, as Paul, we would open the prayer that we do, and Paul would start to see what was the haziness that you would see, like it changes.
Oh, right? Yeah, like the purple kind of like over see. My vision. Mm-hmm. Everything is almost like wearing like a shade of like purple, kind of like just having purple sunglasses or purple lensed sunglasses, kind of. It's just weird. It's not like so dramatic, but then drastic.
When the prayer is closed, that goes away immediately too.
So then it's like normal right now, but I'd know if there was like a little bit of a haze to it, then I'd be like, oh, okay. Which is kind of weird, because at first it wasn't always like that, and I didn't notice it until it started progressing. Then I was like, okay, now we're at a point where I know that, like, I can definitely tell just by looking that the prayer's off or on. And I know, like, obviously seeing people in, like, Civil War attire would give that away. But
you would think.
I mean, what if I was just looking at the ground
Halloween,
or something?
Right? People dress up and go there, too. So you
reenactors or something. I don't know. Sounded pretty funny when I said it.
But, like, I think you told us in the prior episode about how there was like a blue hue around them. Correct?
Yeah.
That you would know that, they were.
So that was definitely just on like their...
all around them, right?
Yeah, just like on their outline, and you could see it. But it was just weird with like the thing that I couldn't like even explain. I don't know what that is. I don't even know what the blue thing on them would be. I have no idea.
I guess a sign. And also, like we talked about, or you said, they have their, accents from wherever they were, from the south, the southern guys, and then from the north, the northern guys too, from Maine and probably Boston area and New York, and Jersey. But then in the south, the Georgia, the Floridians, South Carolina, North Carolina, all the southern guys, Tennessee, of course, and Virginia, and the other states. So that was amazing that you heard them like in their actual tone,
dialect,
which blows me away. because you were what, 14, I think, at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
definitely.
was pretty special. And we have a lot of pictures from the bridge. We hope you enjoyed. We put some on last episode. Um, so we'll be coming back to the bridge several more times, but again, we'll keep it on this timeline. So we don't want to just blow everything out there, for the last next few years in one episode for the bridge.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
saying it in 20 words instead of two. So in the yard, what did you see then?
Well, so in the beginning, when we first tried it, it was like there was nothing. I didn't see anything, and even with the pictures, I remember we didn't get like anything.
Yeah.
But then we kept on doing it, and then that was also following the progression of whatever I had going on, and like the both of us. So then when it was finally developed enough that I could see people, then I remember going there, and it was weird because the front yard was pretty different from the back yard. I remember the front yard, like everyone was kind of more serious toned, and there weren't as many people out front as there were out back. But I remember like they had, like, I don't know, they had their guns set up and stuff, and they were just like talking to each other, spread out in the front yard. There were a lot, definitely.
Were they looking at you? Could you make contact with them? Eye contact?
Yeah, definitely. These guys could see me, and I could see them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty weird, or not weird, but it was cool.
Like, did they nod to you or wave or what? Like, what did they do?
Kinda. But I was also only like how young,
14.
or how old?
You
so.
just, and again,
Yeah.
I talked about in the prior episodes, we might put on a piece of the video, a few, like a 30 seconds of Paul's micro voice, but he's explaining what he was seeing at the time, and that was, so it stays true to what we tell today also.
Yeah,
So the first few times when you could actually see somebody in the yard, and who was that? Who did you make contact with?
Well, in our yard, I remember seeing, or we met someone named Jeffrey Knox of the Army of Georgia, and that was kind of a whole crazy thing with you, like why he was there and what was going on. He becomes a prominent figure.
He does, and
not to take away from the storyline, because that's coming. It'll come.
We're just trying to piece together. So I remember that you're like, there's a guy standing over here, a little taller than you, Dad, like 6'1" he was,
and
or
he
whatever,
had a big beard
and mustache,
and
you're like, he's right in front of you, and I'm like, I can't see anything. But one time when we were in the backyard walking, all of a sudden somebody poked me in the back. Remember? And I said, Paul, somebody just poked me. Who was that? And then you said it was Jeffrey. He's like, he just wanted you to acknowledge that he was here.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I wish I could see him.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, amazing. And one time actually going into the house, I thanked him or said, I know you're here. And then he lifted my collar like, whoop, whoop. And I was like, that just, when something like that happens. So that's, a game changer. But, he gives us a lot of information also in several of the next episodes, as well as Bill. So what else did we see? What else did you see?
So then I remember then, like, coming from out front, I'd seen everyone out there. It kind of seemed like they were on guard duty, if I had to describe it, because they weren't like having fun really. They were just like talking to each other and looking around, almost like keeping watch, if I had to describe it.
Okay.
And I noticed that on the outskirts of our property that there were like some people out there. It was like the numbers,
like not many.
Yeah, it was just like kind of the.
Who were these people? What, like, were they like from both sides, or were they Union, or were they Confederate? Were they what did you see? Do you remember?
So I remember in the front they were mostly Confederate, but they were mixed with Union soldiers. Okay. So that was the biggest shock.
Weird.
And they were at peace with each other being there. So it wasn't like they were, bad mannered and
that's
like go to hell or something like that.
Telling me this, and that really blew us away. In fact, in some episodes coming up at Gettysburg, what you saw, and some of them, most of them were at peace with one another too.
Yeah, definitely.
That was amazing to both of us. Um,
And then
what about in the back? What's the back look
so the
like?
back was a different story. Number one, it had way more people. So it was a good mix. Probably a little more Confederate soldiers than Union. But this was the area that I would describe as kind of like the party area because it had a much more relaxed feeling to it.
Okay.
Like there were big fires. I remember there was this one big rectangular fire pit where there were like a bunch of guys around it just doing whatever. And there were multiple fire pits around.
Now, what were they like eating? What were they doing?
I
And were they
remember,
like solid looking to you?
yeah, they were. It wasn't like I was seeing through them, but they still had the hue to
Okay.
them. But they were like eating and drinking and singing, even in some circumstances. But they also had like all their stuff just set up
Like you
anywhere,
said, they had their guns
like a
yeah,
tripod
like they
kind
put
of
it
leaned up against
leaning
each
up
other.
on each other.
And I
So
remember there were like boxes of like either booze or
supplies.
food, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was just cool to see. But even still going out back, I could see on the outskirts, there were still some people, like just far out there.
Okay.
And then they later explained that
Yeah.
like we have people just always watching on the outside who just like volunteer for that.
Which, yeah, again, more in the future we'll talk
Yeah.
about it, which is, I mean, this was like amazing when you were telling us this stuff. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And we had several friends over at our yard looking at stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember I was just like,
So,
I thought it was cool, but then I
Yeah.
was like,
well, again, I think people would love to hear that because then
Yeah.
they'll what we're talking about now, they'll hear you from
Yeah.
6 years
Oh,
ago
no.
or whatever. So it'll
Last
be,
year.
it'll be fun.
Um,
But to show like it's consistent.
yeah,
The stories are consistent, and like I said before, Paul was a young man. I didn't want him to be ridiculed in school, and again, we kept this now. He's we were able to make our own choices, and we want our stories told, and we want to hear from other people that have abilities too, and hear stories just of people getting cool pictures or getting a video or. Gettysburg, one of the most haunted places on earth, they say, and the bridge, one of the most haunted bridges in our country. So, time-wise, we okay?
Yeah, time-wise, we're good. Yeah.
So, and there'll be way more as we go forward with some of these episodes, talking more of the information they gave us, right?
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
what do you want to talk about now? Something that was very important. That will start us off.
Yes,
into
one
the-
Tuesday.
Yeah, into
many
the next
years ago.
episode too. This will carry
Yeah.
over. So I remember it was trash night. Yeah, putting the trash stuff out. It was a Tuesday night, and we don't have any street lights where we live.
Yeah, it was what, in January or February of 18, somewhere
I think,
around
well,
there.
It was a mild winter then. So what happened when we were out putting the trash out?
So I remember the light was on. I remember our lights down in
Yeah,
the front were
yeah.
on and everything. We were taking it
Like
out.
lamppost lights.
It was dark out. And I remember we were taking it down. I think you were bringing the recycling or something down. And I was standing there. I forget how far back I was. But then I saw a guy standing on like the road, kind of. Like he wasn't in the yard, but he was right by the trash
Yeah, you said
area.
he was right near me.
And I was like,
So-
uh-oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. Because he was solid and I couldn't see a hue to him. But then I was looking and I couldn't, like, at first I couldn't really see his face and I thought it was like just me. So in that moment I didn't question anything. I was like, all right.
Well, you were concerned. Because
Yeah.
you're like, Dad, there was a
Yeah.
guy next to
Yeah.
us or next to you. I remember
Yeah.
that. And
that was
we're
kind
like,
of
well,
weird.
we're at the edge of our perimeter. And
Yeah.
I told you that.
Yeah.
And I just said, what did he look like? So what was he wearing?
So I remember he had jeans on and he had like a puffy jacket that was blue and purple.
Okay.
I remember it was like trying to think of exactly. It was the purple was kind of like in here.
Yeah. He'd probably say it was probably blue.
Something
he's
like-
not gonna want you to
like
say
a puffer
purple, is what I'm
jacket.
thinking, but
Yeah, it was more blue. It was definitely
There you
more
go,
blue.
so yeah, that was and I remember you saying, Dad, this guy is not a soldier. He wasn't a soldier. He's not dressed like a soldier would dress, and I'm not sure who it is. Right? He didn't say anything to you
Yeah, no.
at that time. He
No,
did
it was
not.
weird. And you were like, all right, he's on the outside.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah.
If it
Well, if something
comes
comes
into
into our perimeter, then
yeah,
we'll question, whether we should talk to, this is all new to us, all this stuff. You don't
yeah,
know what's good, what is bad. Like we told you in the other
yeah,
episodes,
definitely.
as people know, there's good and evil, and so that's why we were unsure. Correct? Yeah. What? What's so funny? So, we still good?
Yeah, we're still good.
Okay, so then a couple days later,
Yeah.
you're down here, I think.
What day would it have been? Was it
Well,
that Friday?
Well, it was probably maybe the next day or something. Maybe
Or it was
Wednesday.
Wednesday. It
Yeah.
was Wednesday I came down.
I think you said the lights
Um,
were on here and it was still daylight.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I had to figure that
getting back to that laughter you had, so he
Yeah.
just tells me that he heard a toilet flush. So yes, so that's why. So that's funny. As everyone probably heard it also, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, back to the story. So you come down, you're going to work out or come down in the basement.
Yeah.
You see a guy at the other end of the basement.
Yeah.
What do? You got like
Well,
3
it stands-
seconds. You got 2 seconds to get upstairs, right? That would be somebody's first instinct.
Yeah.
Do I have an exit
I
route?
think I was
Yeah.
just frozen at that
Yeah.
point for a second.
What was this person doing?
He was just standing there.
Looking? Did he wave? Did he just solid?
And I couldn't even see an expression
Right.
because it was,
So you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So that was, and I remember,
I think-
I remember
yeah.
you told me that.
Yeah, that was
Exactly.
weird.
When I came home, and we're like, wow, that's not good.
Yeah, because
they're
now he's
in our house.
Yeah,
Right? They're in the house.
and he made a point to like show
To show.
himself.
But in the light, I think. Was a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah,
Outside, if you went out to take the dog out or something, and saw
Yeah.
that close up, would be more scary, I think.
yeah. But then I didn't see the light go through, and I was like,
How'd he get in there, right?
Yeah.
So I
so
remember
many
you telling me,
questions.
we're like, well, we'll probably go out like we normally would go out on usually a Friday or Saturday night in the yard,
Yeah,
right? So I think the next night or either that night, Wednesday or Thursday, we were going out, I think, for Chinese food, I remember. And you pointed under our maple tree and said, Dad, he's over there under the tree standing there.
yeah,
Correct? You remember that?
yeah. And I still couldn't see his face, but it was just
And we didn't even have the prayer open
Yeah.
because we were just
each time the prayer wasn't
right.
open.
So
I think that's important to note.
break through.
Yeah,
or
that it was
which
like
was kind of crazy. So, and I think we had just said we'll talk to them like tomorrow or whatever. In your head, tell whoever it is, we'll talk to them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. So, then what happened?
Then after that, then it was trying to think. So we didn't take a break with the weekend, right? Because it was
No,
like
we
the
went
Friday.
out that weekend,
Okay.
so it might have
Just
been the
making sure.
Saturday or the
Yeah,
Friday. I think it was
yeah.
the Saturday.
Yeah, because I don't think we did it the same day.
No.
So then we opened the prayer and everything. I remember this now.
You see
And
the
then
purple, you see your vision.
yeah, I could see the same people who were usually there. And at this point, there were other faces that we hadn't mentioned yet, and they'll
Yeah.
be mentioned. But then I remember seeing all these footprints on the ground. I was like, oh, yeah, no, we're good. I saw these footprints on the ground.
So there was a little snow on the ground. When I think there was like an inch.
Yeah.
It wasn't much,
But this was like, it was like someone stepped in neon paint and then was walking around.
so you could see like tracks all over our ground.
Yeah, it was like
And
everywhere.
could you see like it was duplication, so they had stepped on their steps too, or no?
Yeah,
all over the place.
yeah, it was
So I remember
like
you saying, you're like, Dad,
pacing or just
somebody's been here a
constant-
long time. You said,
Yeah.
I think you even said like for years from
Yeah.
just your vision.
Yeah, well, it was weird because some of the footsteps were dim looking,
Yeah,
and then some were bright, like super bright.
yeah,
And so, yeah, then we were out front. That's where we went first.
yeah.
And everyone seemed pretty normal, which that was like the first thing. We were like, okay,
And was
everything.
it the same people that you normally saw in the front,
Usually,
or no?
it's like usually the same people who cycle through,
Okay.
or sometimes there's new faces and whatever's
Was there
going on.
horses in the front too?
Yeah, I remember they had like kind of like a stable thing set up down in our front.
That's crazy. Yeah,
And I think even in one of the pictures, we managed
Well,
to
I
catch
remember
like
with your sister.
yeah,
She
some
saw
of
it
it.
when we took the picture.
Yeah,
She could see like a
where
guy on a horse or
yeah,
something.
yeah, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But yeah, no, they had that down there. And so, like, when we went out there, I was looking at all these tracks and everything. Then I think you were like, well, what if we follow them?
Well, I think you said, I think the tracks go out back. And
Yeah.
you said, we're going to follow the track. I'm just following
Well, because
you.
I think,
You're like
yeah.
Bloodhound. I'm just like, because again, this amazing gift that he was gifted with. I'm just going on what he's telling me, and
You're stealing my story.
and showing. Well, I'm just filling in because when, and like I've told before, when he was in the groove of this gift, he's almost like in a trance. As actually, when we'll play it, we'll try and get a spot where he's almost in a trance.
I'm not trans.
He's not a trance, but he's in a trance, and it's. So sometimes I have to fill in the blanks a little bit. So I remember you said, Dad, he's out back.
Yeah.
And we're going to go out back.
Because, then we started backtracking. Because I remember we walked all the way out front to the far side.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right. And then we started looking at the most vibrant ones.
Well, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, I'm seeing nothing. I'm seeing snow.
Yeah.
But again, as you're doing that,
You're
I'm
getting
taking
pictures,
and we're getting, so it's, it's quite amazing. As he's seeing solid people, I'm just seeing faces and orbs. Like I said, which we talked about when we were, behind Little Round Top, where, our friend Tom could see it on the viewfinder.
Shout out Tom.
Shout out to Tom. Peace, brother. And then I could see it live, like the orbs, and then you could see them solid, like three people standing right next to each other, and you're all seeing something different.
Yeah.
So that blows me away still to this day. So, and that's why,
crazy.
So then what happened then? So
then we open the gate and we're starting to make our way out back. And we're walking through. Everyone out back was like pretty normal.
Like nothing's new. That then did they wait? Some of them would
some
nod
of them were
to you and stuff.
Yeah, they were like and it was loud. I could hear
were
all them
bothering their party.
No,
good. That's why I just wanted
So
to make sure
like,
you don't want to piss anybody off.
Yeah,
it's utmost respect.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
For these guys, they were veterans on both sides, as we know, heroes fighting for what they believed in. So we might stop it here, because when we come to this, finality of who this is, it's going to be an episode in itself, and it's a pretty important one.
Oh, we could leave them with this.
We can, yes, you will. A cliffhanger, as they say.
We get there, and at first we're like, "Where is this guy?" And then all of a sudden he was there.
So
and I was
could you not
startled.
see him at first?
At first I didn't see him there. I was like, where is this guy? But then again, there are many people there. So it's kind of like looking around in a crowd.
Was it like so it was like a crowd.
Yeah, it's like
so,
a
and
rave
as,
or
as
something.
we just, like, normally, like, since you could see, you were trying to avoid some.
Yeah, like
but
walking past them.
Like,
you were just walking over
move
whatever.
Out of our way?
Not really. Not.
I didn't feel like
it doesn't
some people
really
feel like mentholated if they go something
like
goes through you.
Stimulate your senses.
Well, yes. So, and I maybe once or twice I had that, but otherwise no. So obviously, like I'm not moving out of their way because I can't see them.
Yeah,
and they're not moving out of my way because they're not bothering.
Yeah, because they're both are unbothered by each other's presence.
So that's where it's like a weird other. I don't know, dimension. Like
except I tried to avoid.
Yeah, because you're like in it.
You were like stepping through fires and stuff.
You're like, what, Dad? Watch out! I'm your butt's on fire. So, which is crazy as you're seeing this. I remember, and that's why I want to play some of the video, because they will.
Oh no!
They will hear like how the truth is from a 14-year-old kid.
Maybe in the next one.
Yeah, we'll put that in probably.
We'll
start the next one with that. So we might end there. So what did you want to conclude about this? Where were you going with it? That you saw the person.
Yeah, I finally.
Again, you still don't know who it is. There's no name with a face.
Well, the last thing I'll leave everyone with is that he kept on saying, "I know your dad," and he was like, "I know you."
That's this guy. He is.
Yeah. So that's the last thing.
Right.
That was like the biggest shock, and those were like the first words. He's like, "I know you. I know your dad." And saying about you, not he knew me. I guess he would by default, but he was saying, "I know your dad."
This is going to be, and this is actually, for anybody who has our books, you can follow along with our stories, because some of it we relate. This
is our audio book.
But this is, Yeah, it's in on Amazon actually.
Yeah,
But we hope that whoever buys the book
enjoys.
enjoys it,
Yes.
because we have a lot more pictures in there too. But we're gonna be trying to do another one sooner than later. 'Cause,
Yeah. Hey, summer's coming up.
this
That
is
means
a huge
freedom.
episode too.
Maybe not.
Like Daniel's story, this is a big story for us too.
Yes.
So we're probably gonna stop here, and like I said, I'm gonna put some
Yep.
pictures, from Bill and like in our yard a little bit. And we thank you for watching, and God bless America.
Thank you.
Peace and thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.